It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Okay, so obviously on this video, I'm going to be talking about the new Superman starring David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan, and with a ton of other people, directed by James Gunn. There will be some spoilers, just so you know. So you haven't watched the movie yet, you might want to watch the movie first and then come back and watch this video. But if you have watched the movie, then obviously you can continue watching this video, because I am going to be sharing what I really loved about this movie and my insights. And I watched quite a few interviews of the cast as well, so I'm gonna put that in here as well. So let's get started. Alright, so Superman is a symbol of hope, humanity, power of the people. Correct? Everyone knows. The previous version of Superman, the most recent previous version, was Henry Cavill's, and that version is much edgier. It was as if poured into a vat of like Batmanism, if that makes sense. The dark gothic Batman vibe got poured onto Superman for Henry Cavill's version. While he did a great job, that was the vision of that director, to make that Superman a bit darker and a bit more serious. What I love about this one is that it goes back to the comic books. It goes back to being brighter and lighter in a way. Much more of a family film for sure. And what I really like what they did with this current version of Superman, David Corenswet and James Gunn decided to do, was make this Superman a bit more human. He does have a bit more humanity in him, and it seeps throughout most of the film. David Corenswet is playing Superman more so than he is playing Clark Kent. However, there is a bit of Clark Kent that seeps into Superman, which is what's really beautiful about this, because he, as we all know, he was adopted by human parents. He was raised by human parents on a farm. So he definitely has those human influences in him, correct? But he has the powers of an alien, of an extraterrestrial. And he knows he's there to help people and to save people. And he has like very high morals. Like all the versions of Superman. He's super strong, he's invincible, he can carry a building, yes. But one thing that I liked, it became more apparent when I watched an interview of David Corenswet's, was that he said this guy can lift up a building, but when he gets crushed, I mean, he can't die, obviously. Kryptonite is the only thing that can kill him, but that doesn't mean he won't get hurt. He won't feel pain. He still feels pain. So whether he's punched, he's thrown around, something falls on top of him, which I don't remember if, I honestly, I do not remember if the Henry Cavill version feels pain when, you know, something or someone hits him, besides kryptonite. So I really did like that version of him. Innocence came out in this film. Superman's innocence. He has this childlike wonder still when he's with his friend Jimmy Olsen, when he's with Lois Lane, and with his dog. But I like how this one is just a bit more like a best friend type. Like, you watch this movie, you watch him, and you're like, I could be best friends with this Superman. Like, I wouldn't be afraid or intimidated to hang out with him, to talk to him. And I think that has a lot to do with David Corenswet and James Gunn. How I watched an interview of theirs, and they were saying how when they were deciding on the costume and whether or not to have the underwear on top of the blue pants, the thing that they decided was to have it on top of the blue pants. He is strong. Everyone knows he's strong. But he's also really comfortable around kids. He loves kids, and kids feel really comfortable around him. So he doesn't want to give off like a scary persona. He still wants to give off, oh yeah, you can make fun of me, you know, I can have fun and I can be lighthearted. That is really shown in this film. Like, kids are really part of this Superman film. They feel comfortable around him, which is wonderful. And it makes it such a perfect family movie. One thing that I definitely want to mention was that watching the Superman reminded me of the 2006 Superman Returns with Brandon Routh. Now, some of you probably like that movie and others don't. me, I will say that I have a very special memory with that Superman. It was that we watched it at the theater at City Walk at Universal. It was such a magical, wondrous moment watching that movie. And this current Superman movie reminded me of that 2006 movie. And it brought those feelings back of like, when I was a kid, that feeling of like magic and wonder and the impact of cinema, movie magic, and the fact that like I can be part of this and I want to be part of this and I can see myself being part of this. And that's how I felt watching the 2006 Superman. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be in movies so bad. I mean, obviously I wanted to be an actor since I was like 9 years old, but that movie really just made it feel like I want to do this. And that was also my first like exposure to Superman. And this film gave me that exact same feeling that I felt when I was a kid. And I just felt more motivated to push forward more than ever. The theme song, oh my gosh. I love how they have the theme song. It is so emotional. It is so powerful. I was not expecting to cry, first of all. I cried twice in the movie. Maybe if you've seen the movie, you might know where I cried. But yes, I did cry twice in the movie, and the song really pushed it for sure. The theme song is so well done, fantastically like comic booky, and I'm not a comic book person. I don't read comic books, so they don't come at me with like comic book stuff. But I'm a huge movie watcher, but the music it gave me goosebumps. Journalism is a big part of the film, and journalists are a big part of the film. I worked for my school newspaper for like over a year. Obviously not a professional journalist, but I really do enjoy it. I really do like it. So the fact that journalism is actually such a big part of this film was great. These characters like Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen and all those other characters that work at the newspaper at the Daily Planet, they have more to do, they have more to say, and what they do does impact how Superman is treated and how he is seen by the people, and how, things turn out for Lex Luthor at the end. Again, spoiler, if you made it this far and you're watching this and you get mad at me for giving you a spoiler, well, I warned you at the beginning. Really, really enjoyed how they incorporated and really utilized the press and the media in this film. Another thing that this film does is it touches upon, what's happening in the current world in terms of journalism ethics and free press and free speech, and my light just went out. Oh well, you can't tell the difference, or maybe you can. This film really touches on what's going on in the world of free press and free speech and how people are being treated. And I love how they show it in such a subtle way, where you can connect things to real life, but it's not in your face, which is so perfect. I don't like it when things are like shoved down your throat and like just in your face obvious, but when you make it subtle remarks to real life and you show it on screen in an entertaining way, it gives off the message that you want it to give off, but it's also entertaining, still creating an impact. And they did such a brilliant job with it. Something else that's different in this Superman movie, which again, spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen it, this starts off in the middle of the Lois Lane Clark Kent relationship, and Lois Lane knows that Clark Kent is Superman and she actually helps him. That is such a change, which I haven't seen every single Superman show or movie or anything. I don't know if they've done that in like other things. I know they probably did it in Smallville, and they probably did it in Superman and Lois. I'm sure they did it in Superman and Lois because like her name's in the title. But in this movie, she knows who he is. She's strong just like him. She challenges him. She is there fighting with him, for him, and supporting him. It finally feels like Superman is not alone, not entirely. He probably feels like he is alone, but when you watch the whole movie, by the end of it, you realize, wait a minute, he is not completely alone. He is the one with the powers, he still has so much support and so many people who love him and who back him and want to fight for him. That there's lighthearted, funny moments, a sense of hope for not just for the characters, but I feel like for real life. And there are, I will say, some parallels between real life and fiction. And speaking of humanistic things, I recently watched an interview where David Corenswet was talking about how his hair naturally gets curly, and then as Superman, there's like a strand of his hair that's like comes in front of his face like naturally curly. So great. Like that happened by complete accident, but it works really well because on the inside, he's still Clark Kent. He hides his feelings by putting on the Superman facade, if that makes sense. That is like the most human thing anyone could ever do. Actually be feeling something, but then covering that up with a facade of something else. They did that very well. And the hair thing was on complete accident, but it worked so wonderfully well when you think about it in that way. One personality comes out over the other depending on the situation. Because when he's with Jimmy Olsen, he's with Lois Lane. When he's with the dog, he becomes Clark Kent. When he's there for the people, to protect them, to fight for them, he becomes Superman. And that's how humans are. Our personalities and who we are change based on who we interact with. There's so many things I could say about this movie. I really, really loved it. I highly recommend watching it if you haven't yet. But also, if you haven't yet, I'm sorry for giving you spoilers. Everybody in that film, in front of the camera, behind the camera, did a wonderful job. You made me feel like a kid again. And I just want to say thank you. If any one of you is watching this, I don't know if any one of you would be. So let me know in the comments what you thought about Superman, and also if there are any movies that you recommend that I watch and talk about on my next video. So be sure to like and subscribe to get notifications for new videos that come up every week, and I will see you next time on Screen Chats. Bye.